Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've certainly got one for you today. The star of the British Empire, absolutely fabulous. Wicked musicals, cabaret, Mamma Mia, been doing it all. Harriet Thorpe, how are you?
I'm good, darling. Thank you.
Do you know, I love you so much. You have been with me my entire life on the telly box and in the theatre. And you're such a class act and you make it look easy. You've got funny in your bones. And even in the serious roles, there's a twinkle in your eye, isn't there?
There always is, darling, absolutely. And it's extraordinary I've been with you your whole life because I'm barely 30.
Well,
so
this is it.
That's wonderful.
I'm 16 myself, so that's how that's possible.
That makes all sense, absolutely. It makes complete sense.
I fell in love with comedy and you with the British Empire. I just loved that. Yeah. There was something about it that was magical, and some of these things work and some of them don't. That had a beautiful synergy of the cast and the writing.
It actually was ahead of its time in so many ways. It was across, we blew up the centre 3 times. Yes. All of us survived. And for instance, the 2 boys who were clearly living together and everyone knew except Mr. British was, this is 30 years ago. Yeah. It's way ahead of its time. And it was normal. And the only one who wasn't kind of on it or clear about it was Mr. British. And, so on many levels, there was acceptance of all sorts of people with all sorts of problems. Like Colin, who was always had a suppurating sore somewhere. Carol, who, as you know, I brought my children to work with me, which is now a thing. Bring your children to work day. Is part of his life now, and acceptance of everybody is very important. And that was a very different era. So it was way ahead of its time, and I think it still has some currency. And I think there's a big bring back British wave coming towards everybody with all sorts of things online, because we're all still alive. We've had a 30-year reunion a couple of years ago, 20, whatever it was, years. And it's heaven.
Were you born funny? Because when I look at the roles that you've done, especially in Ab Fab, there's a campery about you that fits these things beautifully, but your timing is just impeccable. Do you find that easy, or do you have to work at it?
No, I think the feeling of a laugh or timing is something that's instinctive. And my earliest memory was trying to make my sister laugh. And that feeling of when I managed to do that was fantastic. So I think it's not a normal job. Probably should be in a home somewhere. But, I just love it. I've never played anyone remotely sane. So thank goodness for that.
And on stage, of course, you've had such a tremendous career. I mentioned Wicked earlier. And again, they don't come bigger than that as a spectacle and a beautiful piece of work. When you're in something is it almost more dramatic than doing TV because it's live, it's 8 times a week and you've got to deliver or you get sacked immediately?
There is that, yeah. No, it's part of the job. There's no sort of one definition for performing anything. And whatever I do, whether it's a line or a soliloquy, I love it. And when you're doing something that you're in regularly for a year or more, then that becomes your nighttime family. That's your job. When, the curtain goes up, that's what you're doing. And it's fulfilling because every night there's a live interaction in those big musical theatre things, which are different to doing something on film. It isn't better, it's just different and equally as fulfilling.
You've had the blessing as well of working with some extraordinary people. We're going to get on to the Mad Drag Night in a moment with more extraordinary people. But throughout your career, just fill me in with some of the people that have impressed you because, you've been so lucky to be around greatness and not everybody gets that, do they?
No, they don't. I think that comes from, the start of it comes from my mother, who was a screenwriter, as you may or may not know, who wrote a very important book in the 1960s when it was still illegal to be gay, called The Leather Boys, about 2 working-class boys who fell in love. It was her novel, which was then made into a film, which then took us all to Hollywood. So with my sister Matilda, I grew up playing on the back lots. And when we go out for brunch on a Sunday, it would be to Jack's, Mum would say, and that would be Jack Lemmon. There was one day when Auntie Jean was drying my hair from swimming in her pool, and in walked her husband. She said, "Oh, girls, this is my husband, Howard." We said, "Oh, hello, Howard Hughes."
Wow.
So from a very early age, she worked with Robert Altman. So again, an absolute master of the film world and of that time. The wit, the irony, and everything else that went with it was extraordinary. So my parents again, my father was an actor, and so and then became a writer. But my experience of life and working and humour and show business was from an early age. And the people who moved me were people. Maurice Stoloff was the musical director of Columbia Pictures, who was my relation, who we stayed with when we first went there. He had 3 Oscars, one of the men who helped find Frank Sinatra. So all those people in my life made an impact on my life, but not for what they did. It's just who they were and their acceptance and their open world and freedom of expression were the things that moved me. The people I've worked with, I was lucky enough to work with Anthony Hopkins, for instance, who, when I was first at the National Theatre in a play called Pravda, I was in my early 20s. You know, to watch him work, I'd also known him via the family anyway, but it was so wonderful to watch him work, to work with extraordinary directors like Richard Eyre, David Hare, you know, those when you're in your early 20s, and the people that you work alongside, you know, are just fantastic. So, you know, Jim Broadbent, for instance, Rick Mail, we did The Government Inspector together. You know, those people, you can watch them as you work. And again, we don't always get that opportunity now because everything's so immediate, or everything goes straight to YouTube or whatever. So it's different.
And
but all the time, obviously, Jen and Dawn and I were at drama college together. So, and I've been lucky enough to work with them always, and Jennifer a lot. So those are the people who move me, and I, you know, sort of share my time with.
And what a thrill to be accepted by them. That's the greatest thrill of all, isn't it? The fact that you're part of their team. Incredible.
Well, but because that's at a time when there was no sense of you're equal. You're not better than, or, you know, everyone just worked together and had a laugh.
Yeah.
And so I was so lucky to be with them at that time. And we've always, you know, got on. So it's wonderful. And I think there are many other people who moved me through my career. You know, working on British was amazing. Obviously, everyone in our tab was fantastic. I've just worked, done an episode of Father Brown, which I think comes out next year. And Mark, who I worked with years ago on Alexi Sales stuff, Mark Williams, it was amazing to work with him again after, you know, 40 blah years. You know, we had such a laugh.
Let's talk about a really exciting thing that's happening on Sunday, 18th of August, the Mad Drag Night. It's supporting the Make a Difference Trust, will take place in August, as we say, at Proud Embankment. 2 shows, 6:30 and 10:30. And what a terrific cast featuring yourself and Faith Tozer and Dr. Ranj and David Amez and Tom Reed-Watson as well. A full cast. Miss Rory will be there too. It looks like a fabulous camp night out, basically.
It's even more than that. It is the talent of the West End, the amazing people who created Mad Drag, were David O'Reilly, Sean Parkins, and David McMullen. They are all West End stars, have been in all the shows. They are so talented and funny. It's the most iconic night because it brings together everybody, and it's witty and wild and wonderful. And this is its 5th birthday. I think I've been doing it since the beginning. It's just to raise awareness for HIV and AIDS is so important still, obviously. And Melanie Tranter, who started Make a Difference, has been amazing. And this is a jewel in their crown every year. It's so funny. All the girls, all the queens are amazing. And it's just a fun night out. And as you said, 2 shows.
You mentioned earlier about your mum's book, and I wonder about LGBTQ and all of that today. Is there still a battle to fight, or are we at the point now where we can go, we're nearly there? I sometimes think we are, and then something will happen in the press, and I go, oh, God, we're still living back in 1975.
We're not living back then, but absolutely there's still a fight. Those 2 women were attacked on the bus last week.
That's what I was
2 men
thinking.
were attacked in Liverpool last week. Of course there's still a fight against homophobia, ignorance and arrogance and fear. It's something we will always fight for on whatever account it is. And yes, there is, but it's not as it was. Now people are married. Now people are having their own kids. There is no shame. There is celebration. Look at Pride all around the world. How important is that?
Yeah.
Before, people had to hide, lie, and live a double life. Now there's freedom. But within that, in society still, always, there are people who are ignorant and angry and fearful.
I wonder as well for my nephew who's 4, who's going to school, whether he'll have the same baggage that I've got at 39 or you may have at 30. Different generation, and they've grown up in a much more embracing world, haven't they, on every level, whether it be race,
You're
sexuality,
right.
Class, everything's different now.
Well, also, and for women, who, when I was born, women were not allowed to buy a house without a man signing for it. You know, everything has changed, but there's still a hell of a lot of work to do. Even, yes, people have grown up in a liberated society. You're absolutely right. But I think there is still a lot of awareness of the bigotry, racism, homophobia, anti-Semitism. It's still there.
The irony, you've worked with so many amazing women in your career. Did you ever find that it was the little lady syndrome where producers or directors were patronising?
I think I was lucky enough to come at the end of that where you were valid enough and had your own voice. And the women who went before me provided us with that. And I think, you know, what they fought for, you know, and died for, gave us more of a voice. There's always been difficult people, but I don't know that it's necessarily being a woman that I've been dismissed, except that being a mature woman of barely 30, there aren't the roles that there used to be. And also, women aren't old because they're mature anymore. You're the same person. And the idea that we then stop at a certain age is absolutely ridiculous. I have no intention of stopping. And my heroines are, you know, Dame Sian Phillips and Sheila Hancock, who are working non-stop. You know, every time I talk to Sian, she's just off to Pilates or something. Yes. You know, she's absolutely fantastic. And Sheila is now working at the moment, you know, on stage. Sian never stops working. You know, it's those are my templates for the future. And they gave me and my era the voice for today.
You're a thrilling actress to watch live. You're Madame Morrible in Wicked, and of course Tanya in Mamma Mia was a thrill. But to grow up watching you on the TV, Ab Fab still being so iconic and brilliant, and of course Britas, you are amazing. You're a star, hugely, hugely entertaining. We can't wait to see you at the Mad Drag Night, and you can see Faye Tozer and Dr. Ranj and all the people. Tom Reed-Wilson, along with Harriet Thorpe, of course, and Miss Rory will be down there. The date, let's give you that, the 18th of August at Proud Embankment. 2 shows, 6:30, 10:30.
Riyadh Khalif is there as well.
Oh, wow. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
What a lineup. Thank you so much for your time. It's an honour to speak to you.
Thank you.